Pierce Brosnan says that faith has always helped him face loss. Being Irish and Catholic, the church has been a big part of his life. At 71, the actor best known for playing James Bond recently revealed heartbreaking news. After losing his first wife and daughter to ovarian cancer, he is now facing his deepest fears once again. For a man known for playing a strong and fearless spy, this battle is something he cannot win with charm or courage alone. Pierce Brosnan was born on May 16, 1953, in Drogheda, Ireland. He grew up with very little, no wealth, no fame, and no father. His dad, Thomas, left when Pierce was still a baby, so early that he couldn't even remember his face or voice. His mother, May, worked hard as a nurse to support them. In 1957, when Pierce was only 4 years old, she moved to London to find better work and left him behind in Ireland. What she hoped would be a short separation turned into 7 long years. During that time, Pierce lived with his grandparents first, then his aunt and uncle. He was passed from one home to another, never staying long enough to feel like he truly belonged anywhere. Growing up without stability made him quiet and observant. Teachers noticed he was smart but distant, always looking out the window, lost in thought. At age 11, everything changed when he moved to Scotland to live with his mother again. She had remarried a kind man named William Carmichael, who worked in a factory. William was patient and gentle, and he tried to help Pierce feel safe again. One day, he took young Pierce to the cinema to see a movie that would change his life forever, Goldfinger, starring Sean Connery as James Bond. Watching Bond's confidence and strength struck something deep in the boy. Bond was everything Pierce wanted to be, brave, calm, and in control. At 16, Pierce dropped out of school and went to St. Martin's School of Art in London to study painting. He loved the works of Francis Bacon and Lucian Freud and dreamed of becoming an artist. He lived simply, often surviving on tea and toast, but he was determined. Acting wasn't even in his plans, until one day, he wandered into a theater workshop and saw a man performing with fire. Curious, he asked to try it, and from that moment, his future changed. He joined the group and discovered his natural stage presence. Soon after, he enrolled in the Drama Centre London and trained from 1973 to 1976. The training was tough, but Pierce never gave up. After graduation, he began performing in plays and slowly gained attention for his talent. His first film appearance was in 1980 in The Mirror Cracked, where he had a brief role alongside Elizabeth Taylor. That same year, he appeared in The Long Good Friday with Helen Mirren, which became a cult classic. His big break came in 1982 when he was cast as the lead in the American TV show Remington Steele. Originally, he had auditioned for a small role, but the producers saw his charm and gave him the main part. The show became a hit, airing in over 80 countries and earning huge success. Suddenly, everyone was talking about Pierce Brosnan as the next James Bond. In the mid-1980s, the Bond producers seriously considered casting him. Even Ian Fleming's widow said Pierce looked and acted exactly like the James Bond her husband had imagined. However, when Remington Steele was unexpectedly renewed, his contract stopped him from taking the Bond role. The producers had no choice but to hire Timothy Dalton instead. It was a painful setback for Pierce, but he stayed professional and kept working. During those years, he built a solid film career and appeared in projects like The Fourth Protocol and Nomads. He also became known for his charm in television commercials and interviews. But behind the success, his personal life became his greatest test. Pierce met actress Cassandra Harris in the late 1970s. She was beautiful, confident, and already a working actress. They quickly fell in love and married in 1980. Cassandra had 2 children, Charlotte and Christopher, from her previous marriage, and Pierce lovingly adopted them after their father passed away. The couple also had a son together, Sean, born in 1983. They were a happy family, full of love and laughter. Cassandra even appeared as a Bond girl in For Your Eyes Only in 1981, which was when Pierce first met Bond producer Albert Broccoli. Cassandra believed her husband was meant to play Bond and encouraged him to go for it. But tragedy struck in 1987. While Pierce was filming in India, Cassandra fell seriously ill. Doctors diagnosed her with ovarian cancer, the same disease that had taken her own mother's life. For the next 4 years, Pierce stayed by her side as she fought the illness with incredible strength. She went through several surgeries and endless chemotherapy sessions, losing her hair and energy but never her spirit. Pierce called himself the quiet party during that time, always there, even when he couldn't fix things. Their young son would sometimes pretend to be a doctor to comfort his mother. In December 1991, after years of struggle, Cassandra passed away at home with Pierce by her side. Her final words to him were calm and comforting, telling him not to worry, that life was simply winding down. She was only 43. Pierce later said that it was the first time he had ever felt true grief. He had to raise their 3 children alone, and though it broke him, he stayed strong for them. He once said, "Cassandra made me who I am. She's forever in every fiber of my being." 3 years later, in 1994, Pierce finally became James Bond in GoldenEye. It was both a dream come true and a bittersweet moment, knowing Cassandra had always believed he would get the role. The movie was a massive success, earning over $350 million worldwide and saving the Bond franchise from collapsing. Pierce did most of his own stunts, including a dangerous bungee jump that became one of the series' most famous scenes. The film's popularity even led to the creation of the GoldenEye 007 video game, which became one of the most successful games of all time. Pierce went on to star in 3 more Bond films, earning global fame and becoming one of the most beloved actors to play the role. Yet, success could not erase the pain of his losses. In 2013, tragedy struck again when his adopted daughter, Charlotte, also died from ovarian cancer at just 41. It was the same disease that had taken her mother. Once again, Pierce turned to his faith to survive the heartbreak. He often says that prayer and his Catholic upbringing helped him stay grounded. Today, Pierce Brosnan continues to act, paint, and live quietly with his wife, journalist Keely Shaye Smith, whom he married in 2001. Together they have 2 sons, Dylan and Paris. Even after all the fame and pain, Pierce remains humble. He often says that faith, love, and family are what keep him going. Behind the image of the suave secret agent is a man who has faced immense loss but still believes in hope. He once said, "Life teaches you how fragile we all are. It's faith that gives you the strength to stand again." For Pierce Brosnan, those words are not just a reflection, there is truth, shaped by the love he's lost, the family he's built, and the faith that still carries him through. In 1999, the Bond film The World Is Not Enough made history with the longest opening sequence in the franchise, lasting 14 minutes. It also introduced Bond's first main female villain. One of the film's biggest stunts involved a real oil pipeline explosion, which used 120 gallons of gasoline and created a fireball visible from 10 miles away. Then came Die Another Day in 2002, a movie that marked Bond's 40th anniversary but nearly cost Pierce Brosnan his life. During a parachuting stunt, he was caught in powerful 30-foot waves and dragged underwater, ending up in the hospital with hypothermia. The same movie also featured a $300,000 invisible Aston Martin and a breathtaking ice palace in Iceland built with over 1,000 tons of real ice. But Brosnan wasn't just a box office success, he also earned critical respect. In 1996, he won the Saturn Award for Best Actor, beating Sean Connery, who was nominated that same year for The Rock. It was the first time a current Bond actor had outshined a former one. Even Steven Spielberg called him after GoldenEye and offered him the role of Indiana Jones. Brosnan turned it down, saying he couldn't betray Bond. That single decision likely cost him around $50 million but proved how loyal he was to the franchise. By 2004, Pierce seemed to have everything, a thriving career, worldwide fame, and a loving family. He was in the Bahamas filming After the Sunset, in perfect shape, still deeply involved in the Bond universe, and actively pitching ideas for the next film, Bond 21. But everything changed one afternoon at 2:47 p.m. when his phone rang. The producers told him his services were no longer needed. The call lasted just 47 seconds. "You are a great James Bond. Thank you very much. Goodbye." That was all they said. It was a brutal shock. Die Another Day had earned $431.9 million worldwide, the highest box office in Bond history at that time, yet the producers wanted someone younger. They'd been secretly testing other actors for 2 years while pretending he was still in the running. The betrayal hit hard. Within days, 3 movie deals were canceled, studios backed away, and emails leaked later showed that Hollywood saw him as too Bond, meaning too recognizable to cast in other roles. His salary offers dropped from $12 million to $3 million, and he had to let go of 12 employees. The rejection crushed him. When the Casino Royale trailer was released, he watched it and cried, realizing his role had been handed off without so much as a goodbye. But even before all of that, back in 1994, a few months before he officially became James Bond, Pierce's life had already taken a turn. On April 8, during a beach party in Cabo San Lucas, he met journalist Keely Shaye Smith. They instantly connected. She wasn't dazzled by his fame, she saw the real man behind it. They talked for hours, until 2 a.m., and within weeks, he introduced her to his children. 6 months later, she moved in with him. Their bond was real, built on trust, not glamour. In 2001, they got married in Ireland at Ballintubber Abbey, a church nearly 800 years old. The ceremony cost $2.3 million, with just 100 guests, including Judi Dench and Liam Neeson. Pierce wore a traditional Irish kilt, and when he saw Keely walking down the aisle, he burst into tears. But joy never stayed long in Pierce's life. In 2013, tragedy struck again when his adopted daughter, Charlotte, died at age 41 from ovarian cancer, the same disease that had killed her mother, Cassandra Harris, and her grandmother before her. It was the 3rd generation in the same family to fall to this illness. Charlotte fought bravely for 3 years, enduring treatments and surgeries. But ovarian cancer is known as the silent killer because symptoms often appear only in its late stages. By then, survival chances drop from 90% to as low as 20%. Charlotte was born in 1971. After her biological father, actor Dermot Harris, passed away, Pierce adopted her in 1986 and gave her his name, Love, and Stability. He had already watched Cassandra die from the same disease in 1991 after 8 surgeries and 18 months of chemotherapy. That loss had completely changed him, and watching his daughter go through the same thing decades later tore open those old wounds. At a 2014 Stand Up to Cancer event, Pierce spoke publicly about his pain. "I held the generous, strong, beautiful hand of my first wife, Cassie, as ovarian cancer took her life much too soon," he said. "And just last year, I held the hand of my funny, wonderful daughter, Charlotte, before she too died from this wretched, inherited disease." His words showed a man haunted by grief but still full of love. One of Pierce's close friends, Bron Royance, said that Charlotte's illness brought back all the darkness from the past. He was reliving the nightmare, Royance said. He was broken, but Keely held him together. By that time, Pierce and Keely had built a family of their own, with 2 sons, Dylan and Paris. But when Charlotte fell ill, all the old memories returned. The helplessness, the fear, the unbearable sense of loss, it all came flooding back. Charlotte had found love too. On June 14, 2013, she married her longtime partner, Alex Smith. Just 2 weeks later, she passed away on June 28 at exactly 2 p.m. in London. She was surrounded by her husband, her 2 children, 15-year-old Isabella and 8-year-old Lucas, and her brothers, Christopher and Sean. In a statement after her passing, Pierce said, "Charlotte fought her cancer with grace and humanity, courage and dignity. Her strength was astonishing." Even during her final weeks, Charlotte planned her wedding because she wanted her children to witness love, even as death approached. The echoes of her family's past were painfully precise. Isabella was 15 when her mother died, the same age Charlotte had been when Cassandra fell ill. Lucas was 8, just like Sean had been when Cassandra passed away. It was as if fate had repeated itself. Pierce stepped up once again, this time as a grandfather, determined to help raise Charlotte's children. But not everyone in the family managed to cope with the grief. Christopher Brosnan, Charlotte's brother, struggled for years. After Cassandra's death in 1991, he was only 19 and full of potential, even working behind the scenes on Pierce's Bond films like Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough. But the emotional pain consumed him. By 1996, he had been fined for drunk driving, then jailed for repeating the offense a year later. Drugs followed, GHB and heroin, and he eventually collapsed outside a London club, falling into a coma. By 2012, at age 32, he was arrested again for heroin possession and became part of the Brixton drug scene. In 2024, at age 51, he was spotted for the first time in 2 decades, thin, alone, and almost unrecognizable. Through all of this, Keely remained Pierce's anchor. Despite facing her own struggles, especially years of cruel body shaming from tabloids, she stayed strong. When trolls mocked her weight online, Pierce defended her in a viral post, "I love every curve of her body. She is the most beautiful woman in my eyes. She has given me our 5 children and her heart." In 2024, at 61, Keely revealed she had lost 100 pounds naturally through walking, swimming, and healthy eating. Most of all, she wrote, "I found self-respect and gratitude for all my body has given me." In August 2024, Pierce and Keely celebrated 23 years of marriage, 31 years since they first met. Despite the tragedies and challenges, they remained deeply in love. At their anniversary, Pierce called her my north, south, east, and west. She replied, "You are the finest, loveliest, tenderest person I have ever known." In 2025, the couple was seen together supporting George Clooney's Broadway debut. Keely looked radiant in a black lace dress, and Pierce, ever the gentleman, looked as charming as ever. At 71, he's still one of Hollywood's coolest stars. After playing Dr. Fate in Black Adam, 2022, the film's director said Pierce brought a perfect mix of power and calm to the role. But beyond acting, Pierce Brosnan is now known for something even greater, his compassion. He has been a UNICEF ambassador since 2001, marched with Greenpeace, protested nuclear testing, and raised millions for cancer awareness. He once even boycotted the GoldenEye premiere in France to protest nuclear weapons. When asked what keeps him going after so much loss, Pierce said, "Faith, love, and family. That's all there is." He couldn't save his wife or daughter, but he's still trying to save others. That's the kind of man he is, strong, gentle, and forever defined not just by the roles he played, but by the love and resilience he carries in real life.